In December 2016, we featured Fujifilm's smallest lens for the X-mount system, and every now and then I've been tempted to pick up a copy on the used market, you know, just for the crack. I don't need it, but it is a nice compact little number that produces decent images. Anyway, fast forward to 2021. Here we are shooting with the new XF 27mm f2.8 R WR. We're going to have a little chat about it, you know, look at it up close, throw up some very random unedited samples done with the XE4, and then it will be over to you guys and girls in the comments below. So yeah, let's crack on. We've got this little plastic cap here. I've got the hood and a protector in there, as this is a loaner. So, you know, we've left it on there. So don't be fooled. That says made in Japan, but the lens is not. I know some of you care about that. We're getting a 41mm full frame equivalent. Now, obviously, one of the new features, we've got an aperture ring with the typical nice, decent clicks, third stops, 2.8 to 16. Then the A mode, which has a lock switch here. I actually find this very useful for turning the aperture ring. Obviously this is all smooth, but we do have nice grooved edges all the way around there. If you look closely, you'll see it's made in the Philippines. Would love to go there one day. Not necessarily to the Fujifilm factory there, but anyway, nice clicky clicky clicky. That is decent. Now on this end with the nice metal mount, we do have sealing, so weather resistance with this lens. So that's the two big updates, the aperture ring and the weather resistance. That's 84 grams, a whole 84 grams for that lens. And there's not much in it between this one and the other model. Now the other model is obviously cheaper if you can get hold of it still, which you should be able to, no problem. But this is it, 39mm filter thread, £419, or effectively £150 if bought with the XE4 that we looked at last week. So a superb kit if it fits your way of shooting, if it fits your hand. But this thing, yeah, beautiful little thing. Over the last few weeks, I've enjoyed using this lens on the XE4 that we looked at last week, and I'd say it's almost the one lens to have as an everyday carry for a minimal setup. What would it be in one of the smallest Fujifilm X series lenses out there? And it's pretty much a standard focal length, not too wide, not too long. It's actually closer to what your eye sees than arguably even the traditional 50mm equivalent lenses. But, you know, what do we get? Of course, weather sealing is a big deal for some, and the aperture ring, very practical addition for others. Now, personally, I'm happy with the original version, but at the retail price of this, it's a very worthy lens, give or take what country you live in. Also, the size and weight hasn't been affected by the addition of these features, so that is super cool. Yep, I was fine without the aperture ring on the previous version, but it's definitely nicer to have it, and it's typically well implemented here. I don't use the auto, the P modes and that, but you know, the lock on the aperture ring works very well if you're into that sort of thing, and actually that offers a little bit extra grip to turn the dial when changing the f-stop. Having spent time with the original XF 27mm, we don't really need to dwell too much on the image quality of this new version. It's effectively the same, very good story. It's a really sharp lens, while not being mind-blowing for corner pixel peepers. You're probably not on this channel, I suppose, which means I'm not actually talking to them anyway. There's no issues with chromatic aberration. There's light vignetting at f2.8, no noticeable barrel distortion, decent sun stars. It is a little prone to flaring, and although it's a personal thing, bokeh is pretty decent for a lens of this nature. Autofocus is pretty good, albeit it's the older, noisier setup, so it's not particularly suited to video shooting as much as stills, and the electronic manual focusing ring isn't as good as the previous model. I mean, it is really slim for a start, but it's not a big deal for how I use this lens. While at £419 in the UK, it's one of the cheapest in the range. Bear in mind, it is only f2.8, and it shouldn't really cost what it does, but that's life these days, especially in the UK with the prices that we pay here, and I think there's a few countries even worse off than ourselves. Yes, I'd love it to be faster, but I really appreciate the compact nature of this lens, so you know, you can't have it all. It is a great little street shooter or travel lens and pairs nicely with the smaller bodies such as the XE4 that we looked at last week. Now, to all intents and purposes, it's another winner from Fujifilm, albeit not necessarily one you'll need to upgrade to if you already own the Mark I model and you don't need weather resistance and the Aperture Ring. It's as simple as that. Anyway, that's what I think. More importantly, it's over to you in the comments below, so I'll see you there.